Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
He was my patient for 15 years. He became an obsession with me until I realized there was nothing within him, neither conscious nor reason that was even remotely human. An hour ago, I stood up and fired 6 shots into him, and then he just got up and walked away.
This is episode 205, recorded April 20th, 2022.
Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Jeff Mohr. This podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-host Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. I'd started to channel Shatner there for just a minute. On this podcast, we usually start by giving some basic details of the film we're covering, go through first impressions, and then take off just talking about things in general that we find interesting. Also, I want to remind everybody to hit the like button, subscribe, make comments. We love that stuff. Make sure you hit the alerts. Decades of Horror, there's 3 every 2 weeks. So you can get those, plus Horror News Radio, plus Gruesome Magazine. It's fun.
If you know somebody that likes horror podcasts, tell them about us.
Even if they don't, just shock them with it.
They need this in their life.
We're not like anybody else. Joining me tonight is
Ollie.
is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead girl and co-host of the Gruesome Magazine podcast. How you doing, Crystal?
I'm great. I'm trying to figure out, is this the most controversial Halloween movie, or is it 3? I know a lot of people don't like this
I don't know.
too.
6 is pretty controversial.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, or Rob Zombies.
Oh, well, that doesn't count. That
doesn't count.
That's
right.
That's got to be separated from it.
That's its own beast.
Yeah.
Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and writer, co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s and the classic era. How you doing, Chad?
I'm good. I'm really good.
Good.
Okay, that's weird.
I like that.
Yeah.
And last but not least is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, all-around nice guy, and a great pet for his cats.
Oh,
Yep.
Doing, Bill?
A great pet for his cats? Oh, yeah, fair enough.
My cats.
Okay.
You know what? You're right. There's no lies are said.
Make a great cat human.
Yeah.
All right.
They don't appreciate it.
So, and spoiler alert, this movie came out 40 and a half years ago. So, we're going to...
Yeah. Don't send us any letters saying, you ruined it for me. Yeah, whatever.
Didn't see the end. All right. You probably figured out already. We're doing Halloween 2, 1981, directed by Rick Rosenthal, written by John Carpenter and Debra Hill. The cast includes Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance, Lance Guest, Dick Warlock, Charles Cypher, Leo Rossi, Pamela Susan Shoup, Tawny Moyer, Anna Alicia, Gloria Gifford, and Nancy Stevens. It was filmed in California, all over the place, kind of. Hollywood, Alhambra, Sierra Madre, Los Angeles, Pasadena. And filming dates were April 18th to May 25th, 1981. And it was released on October 30th, 1981. Surprise, surprise. Kind of the Halloween. Yeah, it was released on Halloween. So the budget is estimated to be $2.5 million. And it made $25.5 million box office. $7.5 million on the first weekend. So it was in the black.
It was profitable the first weekend.
Yeah. So this movie is a straight up moment to moment sequel of the first Halloween. And while Dr. Loomis hunts for Michael Myers, a traumatized Laurie is rushed to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, and the shape is not far behind her. That pretty much summarizes the whole movie.
Yep.
He's out wandering around town. Laurie's holed up in the hospital. Michael's making his way over there. And this picture is sort of is the position that Laurie Strode or Jamie Lee Curtis is in much of the movie, crawling along the floor.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the hospital, sometimes in the parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
Am I
that's
wrong?
one of the problems I guess I have. She's very much the victim here.
Yes.
But a lot of times we talk about this not being, it's a step down, right? From the first one, most of us think. So I took a look at 1981 as a pretty crazy year for horror movies. And I got this information from ultimatemovierankings.com. The number one horror movie box office was American Werewolf in London.
Looky.
And then,
Oh yeah, nice.
right at, yeah. And then Halloween 2 was second at 25.5. Right under that was Escape from New York. Maybe not, we can argue about that being a horror movie, but we did it. We covered it.
Yeah.
Ghost Story, 23.4, which did
Ghost
better
Story.
than I thought.
I don't think
I
it's
love that movie.
And that was
That's
a major release.
Yeah, I love the book too. Yeah. And then Friday the 13th Part 2, The Final Conflict, The Omen 3, Scanners.
Oh yeah, of course.
Howling.
Wolfen, Deadly
Yeah,
Blessing.
Wolfen.
Oh, I skipped The Howling, didn't I? The Howling at 18 million. So it was even 7th in horror movies of that year. Assuming
There
I
were
didn't miss
good
any.
Halloween. There were good movies that came
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Some good stuff.
Wolfen was from the Whitley Strieber novel.
Mhm.
Deadly Blessing is a Wes Craven film. The Funhouse, Toby Hooper. And My Bloody Valentine is a kind of a legendary.
But you know what?
slasher
Looking
movie
at
now.
this, I suspect that it's very possible that Halloween 2 is the most profitable of all the movies on this list.
Yeah, probably.
You think
because
more
they spent
than
a heck of a
American
lot more-
Werewolf in London?
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think American Werewolf in London was considered a big hit, and yet it made 35 million. I think it
I
may have
think it-
cost quite a bit more.
They had to spend a lot more money on effects.
I see what you're saying. You're saying,
Yeah. Just in
But-
terms of what they.
I wonder over the
So
course
anyway.
of.
So I think
Yeah.
that was the top 12 horror movies, and the
A good
only
year.
kind of iffy one I put in there was Escape from New York.
If you can't tell, American Werewolf in London is one of my
It's one
all-time
of the best.
favorite
It's
movies.
top 10.
Literally
Yeah.
ever.
Well,
Like
it is.
it's
It
so
is.
good to
Oh,
me.
yeah.
That and The Thing, I
always-
thought, kind of revolutionized special effects.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of
Oh, yeah,
transformation. So, Chad,
Yes.
it's now time for your favorite,
Woohoo!
Oh boy!
the show.
Oh boy!
Taglines.
Boy.
Oh boy!
We need a little
All right.
tagline song to go with this.
Oh,
Da, 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 da,
yeah,
da, da,
the
da,
intro.
da, da. Here's
Yeah,
Chad with
I might have
the
to do that.
tagline. Something. Yeah.
maybe a Carvel's jingle or something.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Read it like Tom Carvel. Boogeyman is back.
Yeah,
That's it. The
Okay.
Boogeyman is back. Well,
That's right. The nightmare isn't over until you go to Carvel and buy a cookie puss. They couldn't stop him, and now he's back.
that's what happens
Okay.
if you can't stop somebody.
Yeah, it happens in a lot
These
of
aren't
horror
great.
sequels. He came back to finish what they'll never forget. I'm sorry, what?
You've already lost me there. Yeah. That's
And this one, I don't even think. How do you kill what's not alive?
I don't know.
Was that you
Is
sure
that-
that tagline was for this movie?
Yeah.
Watch every Dracula and zombie movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stake Through the Heart usually does it.
It's not only a murderer; it's an indestructible terror.
Oh, indestructible. We just did that on the Blob classic era.
Oh, that's
Wow.
right.
Indestructible, and
You can't kill it. It's blobby. the sensational follow-up to the worldwide phenomenon, more terror, even more terrifying.
More terror, even more terrifying.
it's clumsy. isn't it?
Yeah,
Very-
Grammarly would not
very
like
clumsy.
that construct. Yeah.
All new from the people who brought you Halloween. More of the night he came home.
It sounds like a commercial more than
Yeah, it
a
does.
tagline. Yeah.
Telling you
From the
things you
people
probably
who brought
already
you-
know.
Yeah, yeah. From the people who brought you Family Matters.
Yeah.
Just
change of
when you
pace.
thought it was safe to go trick or treating.
I
There's
kind of like that
There's a
one.
shark in
Okay.
the yard.
But
I
that's
know.
Jaws,
I
yeah.
hate myself
Yes.
for it, but I do
Yes.
kind of like it.
Halloween, the horror smash of the 70s. Halloween 2, the horror smash of the 80s. Maybe.
I'm Ron
sorta.
Burgundy. Like, why would they put a question mark on that? It should just be
Totally
It's like
hedging
they
your
were-
bet.
definitive.
They're asking the
Definitive.
audience, can this be the
Right.
horror smash of the 80s, please?
Tell them it is. Tell
If the
them it
tagline
is.
guy isn't
Yeah.
sure the movie's good, I'm not going. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for taglines.
They were
That's it
not
for
good. They were not.
But
No.
they're
terrific.
not as bad as a lot of.
Oh, they're
the
not
other
as bad as
ones.
a lot.
mean,
We
I'd say out
some
of-
stinkers.
Out of all of them, the more of the night he came home is the one that's
Yeah,
makes the most sense out of all of them.
they all seem
It's
to
not
be a
that-
variation of he's back once again,
Yeah.
and I think we got that from the 2. You know, when you see a 2, you know it's return of something you've already seen
Right.
before.
Right.
Mortar. Follow
Only
it.
more better.
Terrifying
better,
terror
yes.
this time, even more better.
All right. Well, this is my pick, and I picked this for a couple reasons. Number one, it just dropped on Shudder.
That's the most important reason.
That's always a good reason.
Because we can all stream it, and we don't have to worry if we own
Yeah.
it or not. And the second reason, which is just kind of coincidental but is cool, this will come out like within a couple days of mid-Halloween's Eve. 6 months from
Oh.
Halloween is what I'm calling it. So
Yeah.
we're getting ready for Halloween 6 months early.
Yep.
We're always
All right.
ready for Halloween.
This is when
So
Crystal starts putting up decorations.
I totally would. Like, well, I do have stuff
You
up
take
all
'em-
the
you take
time,
'em
though.
down?
Really. Yeah,
All right,
I
so-
do. You have to keep some stuff that's special for Halloween, because otherwise, then Halloween isn't special. So yeah,
Exactly.
take some down. Yeah.
So I liked this when I saw it in the theater. I was really bummed that it looked like Donald Pleasance was killed, which I think he was. But I guess all the sequels just kind of went, never mind number 2.
Yeah.
We're starting.
I got better.
So
The only thing he had to show
Um,
for it was a little burn scar on his hand
Right.
and face, a little bit on his face
Yeah,
from
just
that
a-
explosion, that fiery explosion.
flesh
so anyway,
wound.
it's totally different, and everybody else will probably talk about this. But or in fact, I'm not going to go into it. I felt like Laurie Strode was just sort of she was just sort of a target, you know. In the first one, she was, I don't know, there was stuff going on. She was living life, and this one, she's just in the hospital, and I don't know.
She's drugged up.
People are kind of
She-
clueless.
Yeah.
Donald Pleasance is running around telling everybody he's a monster. There's nothing in his eyes. His eyes are black. I shot him 6 times. He's still alive. He walked away over and over and over, and nobody pays any attention to him.
You don't know what death is.
Well, they do pay attention to him. I should take that back. But the sheriff gets a little tired of him telling him what to do. But I just enjoy it. I think it's pretty good. It's different. So if you go into it expecting what you got in Halloween, you're not going to like it. It's a totally different movie. It's much more an 80s movie than Halloween was. And I dig. I think Dick Warlock does a good job as it's shaped as well. So, and Lance Guest was decent. Other than that, I'm just going to let it go, and let's go with Crystal Cleveland next. But we got a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to take up too much time.
Okay, so I did see this at some point as a kid because I saw most of Halloween movies, but I didn't really remember much of it other than I knew that that's when you find out that Laurie is Michael's sister. And so I know a lot of people hate that and have this big, like, I don't really care. Like, don't care either way, honestly. But this movie's just a straight up slasher. I don't think there's anything great or wonderful about it. I don't even think the performances are great or wonderful, but it's just a straight up slasher. I mean, I can't tell you how many times Michael should have died. Like, so you. It's so ridiculous. I mean, it's good because it reinforces the fact that obviously he's not human and he's supernatural. Because I think you kind of wonder in the first Halloween. I mean,
Hmm.
he's human. You think,
Yeah.
so this totally takes him into that supernatural. And then I like how I think Donald. I think Donald explains like every time he comes back or whatever, he's worse, which is kind of cool. I think that's kind of a cool concept. I dig that. I think it was kind of it is laughable at points. Like there's one point where Michael falls off of like a balcony or railing and it looks silly. And there's a couple other things where it's like, okay, it's so silly. But to me this movie is just to watch without really thinking about it. If you think too hard, I don't think you're going to like it. So I get why people who are like really into Halloween don't love this one, but if you just watch it for what it's intended for, which is entertainment, I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yay.
Chad, how about you?
Yes.
I'm sure you saw this at the theater. Maybe not. It was R-rated.
I sure
Your
did see
uncle
it.
took you.
Wow.
Or your,
I saw it. I saw it with me and a bunch of ne'er-do-well friends of mine back in the day. I like
were
this
you
one.
were you the guy that held the back door open so they never
Yeah, I was exactly that guy. We were broke back then. None of us kids had any money back then. But I can tell you how I first felt when I saw this movie. I was glad it was different from the first one, because if they had tried to emulate what Carpenter had done, I think it would have failed miserably. Which is why they brought Carpenter back in. I think he did the screenplay to this, and he's the one that beefed up the gore a little bit and the violence a little more, because he was afraid that with the way movies at the time were slashers and stuff like that, that this movie would lose money. Which, so he kind of beefed up that gore and violence a little bit. And like Crystal said, I loved it too, because this is sort of the first movie where you figure out there's something supernatural going on, and I always love that. Anytime I wasn't a big fan of Jason until lightning struck him and he came back as a zombie. So that's what got my attention back then, and I like this movie. I really do. Yeah, it's got some really slow points in it and stuff like that, but I like the kills. Some of the characters I liked. The whole hospital murder spree was pretty cool. The boiling alive in the hot tub and the stabbing in the back with a tiny little scalpel and being able to lift somebody off their feet into the air. It was just cool kills. And I just remember coming out of the theater going, I really like this. I really do. And I still do. Yeah. So yeah, I still love it.
All right. What about you, Mr. Mulligan?
I don't think I saw this.
Maybe hair like Liberace, Mulligan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do.
I had to say that.
Yeah. I don't think I saw this in the theater. No. I wish my brother George was here. I don't think I saw this in the theater. I think the bad word of mouth kind of scared me off. But I did see it on tape at the earliest opportunity and thought, as I do now, it's not as good as the original. But compared to what came after, I'm not including Halloween 3, which is a completely different beast. But I am not fond of the Halloween franchise, really. I think it really went downhill fast. Halloween and Jaws. I think actually Friday the 13th movies, which are not considered great art, are more consistently consistent. They're not great, but they're not terrible either. Halloween had some terrible entries. This one, I don't really like the Laurie as his sister. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It didn't seem to go anywhere. Was he in some of the subsequent movies? It's a big deal that she's his sister, and that's part of the whole plot here. But I don't know that he knew it. If he did, he didn't say anything. So I don't know. Jamie Lee, who was so good in the first one, protecting the children and fighting for her life. Here, she's definitely fighting for her life, but she doesn't have much to do because they've drugged her and she's wounded. She's just always about to die, and then she gets rescued by whoever shows up there. So, but all in all, though, watching it again just the other day, I enjoyed it more than I remember enjoying it. Maybe knowing that they didn't really get this good again for a long while, I liked it. I would have liked to have seen what John Carpenter would have done with it. Not taking a whole lot away from the director, but it doesn't have that many memorable shots. It doesn't have that many memorable bits in it the way the first one does. The first one is just about as perfect a low-budget horror movie as you could make. So, okay, so it's not the greatest. It's certainly not Halloween 1, but it's not Halloween 5 either. So I kind of like it. And you could see they did want to end it, though. This was supposed to be an end. He's almost indestructible, but by gosh, we just about blew him up, set him on fire, burned him to cinders. Not as bad as that poor kid in the beginning, the one who gets hit by the car, and they think it's boy, that guy is crispy crittered. Like just some poor kid who happened to grab a William Shatner mask and walk down the street on the wrong day. The one thing that I thought then the first time I saw it, as I do now, this is the most understaffed hospital I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
When Michael shows up, he just about doubles the number of people that are in this hospital. There's no one there. It's underlit and understaffed. There's a bunch of babies, but I didn't see anyone else there. It just doesn't seem like I don't know where they all were that night. Sure made it easy for him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It depends. Kind of depends how big the towns are around. Is there another hospital somewhere? And if there is, I've seen some pretty small hospitals in Iowa that I imagine are, depending on the patient count, there's not a lot of people working. But I agree with you. I mean, it's like, especially after he killed like 6 people, then there's like nobody left.
Yeah. I mean, look, this town is big enough to get a stone throwing mob on short notice.
Yeah.
So it just seems to me they ought to have a little bit more in the way of healthcare.
So you touched on something that I think, from the reading that I did, at least it seems to me like the people that made this film were not all on the same page. Because Rick Rosenthal, the director, said they wanted him to do a movie like Halloween that didn't have a lot of blood, that was all atmosphere, and that's what Carpenter wanted to do. And if that's true, somewhere along the line, Carpenter changed his mind and said, "Oh my God, we're going to lose our shirts. This is going to suck," and even added some scenes to it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's some. I should actually put John Carpenter as an uncredited director because they added several scenes that were not in it originally. 1 for more kills and 2 for a TV version.
Yeah.
So anyway, and for the producers too, it seemed to me like they were kind of weird, and I kept hearing about scenes that, and then Rick, they put a scene in at the end of the movie where Laurie and Lance Guest's characters are in the ambulance, I think, and Lance Guest is covered with a blanket like he's dead, I guess.
Yeah.
And in the background, his body sits up, and she freaks out because it's, Michael's come to get her, and then when the thing falls down, it sort of breaks the tension with comedy. And they cut that off the end, and according to Rosenthal, nobody ever told him why or that they did it. He just found out why. So I don't know. I just find that stuff interesting when there's conflicts and there's maybe not a lot of communication, maybe. So what about the direction and and the script, I guess.
The direction was wonderful. I thought the direction was very good for this as a follow up to Halloween. Of course, you can't go wrong with that Dean Cundy cinematography. He's just a master of that Carpenter look and feel, and I think that lent itself a whole lot to the tone of the movie too, and reminded everybody that this is a John Carpenter thing. That's how it was with me. I didn't know at first that Carpenter was not directing it until the end, and because it looks like a Carpenter movie to me. Not a good Carpenter movie, but it still it reminded me a lot of the same kind of direction.
I think sorry. I was just that's basically what I'd say too. I feel like it totally fits with the other movie. It does, the story changes. I feel like it's the story more than the look of the film that is so distinct. But you are going in a different direction. I mean, Michael should be dead. So if you're going to bring him back, you have to do, this is pretty much the only way they could go. Either he's going to be supernatural or not, or someone's going to take up his mantle, something like that,
Well, he got shot 14 times, 2 of them through each eye.
Yeah.
In the same night and survived. So.
And the heart, and everywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Donald Pleasance was vehemently telling everybody who would listen, I shot him once in the heart.
I'm glad you said what you did about Dean Cundy, because I think that was a big part of it, and even Rosenthal said that was a big help to him to get that look. And there's a fair amount of panic light, or what did they change that to? Steadicam. I don't know if it was Steadicam by then or not. In this one as well.
The gore is meaner than in the first film. I mean, the woman being scalded to death, that's hard to watch. That's harsh. The needles through the eye, like you said, the little scalpel and everything. But I don't know. I'm just wondering. Sounds silly. What's his motivation? Why is he there? Is he there specifically to kill Jamie Lee?
But why too? That doesn't even make sense either.
Yeah. It's does he know she's his sister?
Mm-hmm. I like it that we don't know though.
Yeah.
I kind of like that's part of the. My whole thing with Michael is you don't know why he's evil. Yeah. And that's part of what makes him so interesting, I think, is you don't know why he's doing. Is he possessed? Is he that evil of a person? I mean, apparently he's got super strength, because that's the tiniest little scalpel. Yeah. That would there's no way a normal human could stab somebody in the back and lift them off the ground with a scalpel.
Well, we can continue go right through the whole series. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like I will say, when I watched one of the newer, the first of this new Halloween series, and he stomped on that dude's head and popped it a grate, I started cracking up in the theater, and of course people were like, "That's not funny." And I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was real life. I didn't understand that. Sorry. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It was the next stage graduation, next stage of over the top from the kill in the first movie, where he stabs the guy and he hangs on the knife on the wall. Right. And stays perfectly straight. He doesn't.
Which the knife wasn't even all the way through that guy that he pinned to the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's about this much blade sticking out
telekinesis.
Of the front of
But
the guy.
so it's like they kind of did. It's like they were trying to give him motivation. The whole thing about Laurie being his sister, that is suggested as a possible motivation. The Samhain thing written on the wall.
Samhain. That kills me.
I like saying Samhain. Samhain sounds more evil.
It kills me. I'm like, Donald Pleasant. Sorry. I actually was going to mention that. It's Samhain. That's how it's pronounced, just so everyone knows. But it doesn't matter. Sorry.
Well, here in North Carolina, we call it Samhain.
We say Samhain.
I wish my last name was Hain. If my last name was Hain, I would have named my son Sam.
Every time he said it, I was like,
Sam Hain.
Sorry.
All right.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So, and Rosenthal didn't he has like 64 credits in 40 years.
So.
Well, not
Did I
even
say
40,
ween?
like
I meant ween.
38 years
When?
since then.
I'm so stupid.
And he did Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah.
Oh wait, which one was that? What number was that? So.
That was the one
that
after
doing a documentary. Yeah.
Oh God, I don't remember that one.
Where he kills Jamie Lee at the beginning.
Oh, wow. Boo! I hate that one.
I don't know.
Which
For
also
that
took
reason.
place in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I saw it.
I've discovered I had to watch every single Halloween movie for another podcast where a friend of mine made me watch every single Halloween movie for one podcast. And I discovered I like the ones with Jamie Lee a whole lot more than the ones without Jamie Lee.
I agree.
Yeah.
That was a pretty easy take.
I get a kick. I do enjoy Danielle Harris, but not that the whole movie is worth that. But I like Danielle Harris in those two.
Yeah, so do I.
And I had to do the same thing, Bill. Somebody was going to do Halloween's, and so I watched the 8 plus the Rob Zombies in a weekend. My wife was out of town for the weekend, so I watched them all in one weekend. By the time I got to Rob Zombie, it was
Halloweened out.
It was over. Yeah, I was done. All right, and I probably should watch those again just because I didn't get them full.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Riff.
Yeah.
Let's throw these up before I forget about it.
I do like those
posters.
It's pretty.
Yeah, posters are cool.
I like the top one.
All new, except the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Or so.
But yeah, I like the idea of cutting open the pumpkin. There's a skull in there. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they do know how to make a good poster. So you mentioned Jamie Lee.
So young in this.
She's other than the first, like once they get her to the hospital, we get the recap of the first one, right? The end scenes of the first one, and some of them reshot. And you mentioned that, Crystal. I was the same way. That balcony thing, they put a ramp on there so he could fall off it the same way that he did in the first one where there was no railing.
Yeah.
He just crashed through the windows. You know? I'm like, jeez. But she spends a whole, 95% of the movie in a hospital gown.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I'm wheezing.
Yeah, for real.
Better her than Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
I love Donald Pleasance.
My ass is cold.
Oh, he looks so young in this movie too. That's a lie. Donald Pleasance looks exactly the way he was born looking like a 50-year-old man, and he died at the age of 100 looking like a 50-year-old man. It's incredible.
Well, I think, Chad, and Bill, when we did Halloween on 70s, we might have talked about this, but they originally wanted, I think Carpenter wanted Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Or Peter Cushing. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Erwin Yablans, the producer, said, "No, you don't want to do that because then it'll be the Christopher Lee movie,
Oh, fair enough.
It'll be Hammer in the USA or something."
No, I mean, look, I love Christopher.
What about Donald Pleasance? Yablans had seen Donald Pleasance in The Guns of Will Penny, where he plays a just evil, despicable character in his sons that are after Charlton Heston, I think it's Will Penny, and that's kind of where it came from.
I heard a story that Christopher Lee turned the role down and then later on regretted it because the film was such a success later.
Oh,
yeah. But, on the bright side, he got to do Howling 2. So
he got to be in Howling 2. So even Steven.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Whatever, guys. Okay. Whatever. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
She does cool in this, although she's wearing a wig the whole time because of.
She is? Jamie Lee?
Yeah.
Oh, it looks.
Yeah,
I did not know. So
I didn't know.
Well, she cut her hair short, and then so they used this wig. But that was, I mean, it doesn't like you looked at it and went, "That's a wig."
no,
But I
I
looked at it and
totally
went,
Right.
couldn't tell.
It seems
No.
too thick for her hair or something. It didn't
It's not Amber Heard and Aquaman. It looks okay.
Oh, was that a wig?
I hope so.
Oh, you're spoiling our childhood, Bill.
Oh, oh no, like.
Yeah, Bill. I have no
Yeah.
idea what that
Sorry.
means. But I'm just going along with the crowd.
Yeah. Way to go. There is the man.
God, I just loved how he did that. And apparently, so in the first movie, when he shoots him 6 times. And in this one, he shot him 7 times.
Yeah.
In the opening scene, which I'm not sure how you do.
Reloaded.
And I want to give a shout out to Donald Pleasance, because I think this may be the only movie where a guy goes to shoot the bad guy and the gun clicks because he's out of bullets, and he doesn't spend the next 10 seconds continuing to press the trigger, hoping that bullets will magically appear in the empty gun.
Right.
It's
I'm just
one
glad he
click,
didn't throw the gun at him after he was done shooting.
and then
Yes.
and then
Like
he ducks.
Yeah.
Like in Superman, where they'd shoot him and the bullets would bounce off, then they throw the gun and Superman would duck. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If the bullets bounced off, what's the
Well, when they show him after he shoots Michael, and then he comes outside and there's, he's gone. And then the police drive up and he runs out there and he's got his voice is just such a guttural thing of that whole thing about, he's just babbling about this. I shot him 6 times. 6 times I shot him in the heart. He's not human, and he just, this is just all constantly going while he runs around the car and climbs in the back door. And I'm like,
Yeah.
seems like they would have been, anyway.
Yeah, get in the car,
Well,
Loomis.
I
Okay.
loved it.
And that's all he's talking about for the next half hour. Like, so how many times did you shoot him? In the heart, you say. Oh, God.
Yes, the heart. And then once in the toe.
Well, he's waiting over at Michael's old house because he thinks that's where he's going to go. And then he's what else was he doing? He was scaring the kids away who were on a dare.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
It just occurred to me. He was Michael's psychiatrist, right? Studying him, trying to figure out what makes him tick. There is no way on God's green earth that he would not have the information of exactly how many brothers and sisters this psycho had.
But that was kept quiet, though. It was buried. No, I don't think he would. No, because the courts can bury that and that information doesn't have to be released. It doesn't have to be released. I'm telling you, Bill, it doesn't have to be released. Not with adoptions.
Adoption records. Yeah.
Adoption records can absolutely be sealed. You can't even get them in hardly any cases.
But he should have known that he had another sister.
Well,
he would
why,
want to know the whole family dynamic so he could try to figure out, make him tick.
How?
But anyway, then they adopt her out,
make-
and they adopt her 2 houses down. This is like hiding Luke
yeah,
Skywalker on
fair enough.
Tatooine. I mean, it makes no sense at all. It's just, but
I'll give you
okay.
that.
Well,
I'll give you
John
that part.
Carpenter did say he thought of that twist at 2 a.m. in the morning over a 6-pack of beer.
Okay, well,
Right.
yeah.
Well, if they
6-pack
were
of beer.
writing the script the way that they were writing it, it is too weird that he is just so focused on Laurie. You have to give it some sort of reason because it is silly. Otherwise, it's like, is he a killer or is he specifically going after her and then just killing along the way, or what is he doing? I mean, I don't think he has to have. I don't think we need a reason behind why he's bad or why he's killing. He's a killer, but why he would be so focused on one person,
right?
I think
Why
would
is he?
be,
Yeah. There was several little things like that. Like I don't know if it was in there to begin with or if it was added, but the scene with the kid with the boombox, and then Michael heard the news that they had taken Laurie Strode to the hospital. Otherwise, how would he know where she was? But I guess
Right.
if you could survive 14 shots to the body and head, who knows what other supernatural powers?
A stab to the neck with a coat hanger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A fall from like 30 feet in the air off a balcony.
And as we
she
know
stabbed
now,
him,
being
too,
set
in the
on
first-
fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this one added Lance Guest, and he's on the edge of being a little pervy there about Laurie in the hospital room. He's the EMT that picks her up, him and Leo Rossi, and he says that she's in his brother's grade, I think. But then he's like immediately smitten, apparently. Or maybe he just, I don't know. Crystal, what did you think about that? I mean,
I didn't think anything about
you didn't think anything?
I mean,
oh, that's right. Watch this movie and don't think. I remember
well, that's part of it. That's true. But he said she was only a year behind him. I think that he said they were only a year behind. So they're very close in age. They could have easily been in school together and stuff. And I mean, he's technically not in a position of authority. So,
right.
There's no weirdness there. And I mean, she seems totally into him. I mean, I didn't
well,
see anything
he's
creepy.
rubbing her hand. It's let's just say
it was late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out but the problem is I think it was odd because it seems like they had more of a relationship than what they were alluding to here, even though there was no evidence of that. So that's what
you're right. It seems
the
like there's
only
a
weird
backstory
part
we're
of
not
it.
getting.
Yeah, because she was into it. Like she seemed like she liked him. She's like,
well,
but
if you remember,
but it feels like they had more beef, not bad. I mean, it feels like they had more meat. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
does it seem like we just didn't see it? Yeah, so I don't know. It was kind of weird.
Been a line about him
way.
that if he would have just said something like, "I always had a crush on her" or something, but I never, there could have been just one little line in there that would have explained him like
something. I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you there. Mm-hmm.
And another thing I read in real life, when Rosenthal introduced Lance Guest to Jamie, he said, "I want you to meet your future husband," which she went on to marry Christopher Guest from Spinal Tap, and Nigel Tufnell from Spinal Tap. And
so
even
close.
though these two weren't related at all, they had
That's
the same
funny,
last
though.
name, but I just thought that was an interesting.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, then so the top picture, he's standing by her bed, and it's in the bottom picture, he has just discovered the head nurse who's been killed by Michael, and apparently he just stuck a needle in a tube in her arm, and the blood drained out on the floor. And then he slips and does a great pratfall,
which is pretty funny
himself.
That was well done.
Yeah, and he did a pretty good job.
The blood, though, is so... I hate this blood, okay? I hate this blood. It's so bad. It's so paint. It's like it's paint. That red color and...
It's hammer blood any day.
Well, it's not glowing in the dark, but...
I love hammer, but you got that day glow blood from...
Well, so...
I think a little darker.
What happens to him... I mean, what the hell happened to him? I mean,
what does happen to him?
Was he so injured by that fall that's when he crawls out, climbs in the car while she's hiding in it,
and then passes out, right? Or did he die?
I thought he just passed out.
That's all just from banging his head when he falls, right?
Well, he could have passed away from that. Yeah, we know that unfortunately, Bob Saget. I mean, it just happened recently, so that's
concussion.
Completely possible. But I just assumed he passed out. But
yeah, that's what I thought
guess
too. Right onto the horn. Yeah, just what you need when there's a serial killer sneaking around is somebody honking on the horn.
Yep.
I'm over here.
He did a decent job playing a sort of a serious version off of Leo Rossi's. Like
Leo Rossi played such a delightful douchebag.
What a jerk
in this movie.
You're like, oh, this guy's gonna die. I can't wait for it. Yeah.
But he played a lot of roles
him
like
to sing that at conventions.
Oh, really?
Amazing Grace.
Yeah, this guy would be spending a lot of time with human resources if he were in a real job today. So.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a nice shot on the bottom.
Yeah,
It is. There's some
moody.
They make a great use of this. The hospital's kind of half shut down overnight, I guess. They turn the lights down. I like the top one too. I mean,
Yeah.
almost like bloody tears.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder where the bullets went. They just rattled around in his head.
Oh no.
There was no exit wounds.
That's a good point. I mean, I don't know.
And just so we know that, Laurie Strode is still capable of defending herself. Here's the gif of how he got those bloody tears.
Headshot.
20 points.
That's good shooting.
That's very good shooting.
I
mean, maybe Loomis should have taken a tip from that. I shot him 6 times in the heart, and it didn't work. It did not work. Try something else.
Let me try the eyes this time.
I'm just curious. How do you think they're gonna end this third movie with that? I'm like, nothing kills him. I don't understand. What?
No.
He is pretty much seemingly indestructible, really. So
I think it'll be just a final showdown between him and
Laurie.
Jamie Lee and Laurie Strode, and
they'll sentence him to the Phantom Zone, like a Superman. Yeah.
I think they both die together, and then we have some ambiguous bullshit last shot that makes it the evil lives or something. I don't know.
I dig these last couple of movies.
I do too. I like
I
them.
do too.
Mm-hmm.
I like the first one a lot. The second one was a little. I didn't like.
Well, the first one, I did like the first one better than the second one.
Yeah.
But I think the second one is just the bridge.
The bridge.
Yeah.
Right.
It's definitely setting it up.
And I think they're fine. I mean, I turned my brain off for those movies. I haven't expected art from a Friday the 13th movie since the first one. So that's fine. It's just popcorn stuff, and that's okay.
So here's some more Michael shots.
Look at that! She set him on fire, and he got bigger. It's like he's bulky, like he put on some weight or a fire suit.
A fire suit, yeah.
Yeah. And Dick Warlock did those.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's a stuntman. He did. And now here's under the category of what the.
Yeah.
He said that he got burned the first time because the suit had zippers in it.
Oh, yeah.
What?
This is
Zippers
scary.
got hot.
Well, yeah, they're usually made of metal.
What? And it burned his arm, and he had to put some gunk on
Ointment
it.
on it.
They did 2 takes. I don't know how they did 2 takes, but.
I mean, I don't know what else you use
the
besides
hell?
zippers, but zippers, that sounds like a really bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
And look, my hat's off. Anyone who does this,
Scary.
pure balls. I mean, look at that. He is. You got to hope that
That is
everything
insane.
goes right. Yeah. Fire
And
is
that
scary.
explosion was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Dick
know.
Warlock,
they
who
filled up the
also
room.
played Swamp Thing in the Wes Craven film, in the TV series.
Oh, okay.
But he was wishing he was in the swamp in that top picture. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll bet it must feel like a million years. Every second must just crawl by when you know you're absolutely engulfed in flame. And
You can't see. I mean, come on.
if people
scary.
didn't get the right fire
Right.
extinguishers or
And if you wait until you start feeling it,
Yeah.
you only got a couple seconds.
you go from not burn to burn real fast.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see
It makes
what
makes a great shot though.
Yeah,
If the burn's done right, they make great shots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this was
all the way
was a
back to the
really
original thing. It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
good- He was absolutely, completely engulfed. I mean, there was no.
Can you even see? I don't think. I mean, I can't imagine that you're
I don't
able
think
to
you
see out of
can.
that suit.
I
So
don't
you
think
just
you're
hope
able
that
to
you're
see.
stumbling in the right direction. You have no idea whether you're on fire or not until it starts burning through the zippers. And
They
jeez,
did a great job of just walking like Michael would normally walk,
Mhm.
like he wasn't on fire. He did a great job of that.
apparently, I don't know. He had a bone to pick with Debra Hill because he said years later she had made comments in an interview that he never got the walk down right, that he walked too slow.
Unlike Nick, she said he was slower than Nick Castle, who played him in the original. So
yeah.
Well,
but he said he followed her direction to the T, and she never said anything.
Yeah, and he said she was on the set the whole time and never said anything. So what? That was anyway. I'm not dissing on Debra Hill. I
love Debra Hill.
She's got a great career. So this middle shot, I can't quite figure out what that is. Is that when
he's picking up pennies off the floor?
What's that middle shot, Bill?
That's him dunking. It's dunking the woman in the scalding water.
Of course.
That's right.
It is. Yeah. Wow. I could not see that until. Yeah, that was a big. Okay, why? Okay, now, Bill, this is the stupidest thing ever. Why would that water get that hot? There's absolutely no need for that water to get that hot. It's a medical. That's the stupidest thing ever. I'm like, oh, okay.
Just in case someone's been hit with Mr. Freeze's freeze ray, and we got to thaw them out.
It's ridiculous.
The gauge says do not go above 100 degrees, but the gauge goes up to like 180.
Yeah, right.
It's so silly.
All right.
It'd be like a hot tub. A hot tub would not, I mean, I don't know. I had a hot tub that we could get up to 104 and I would sit in it. But like, come on.
She got a really bad ear infection because she said the water was so filthy.
Ew.
Yeah.
They said it was really cold.
Ew.
Yeah.
That whole thing, she didn't want to do that.
I don't blame her.
Yeah.
Ew. Why was the water gross? Ew. No.
Who knows?
Mm-mm.
Well, it isn't that. She didn't want to do a nude scene.
Yeah, I think Leo Rossi talked her into doing it, or told her it would be okay. And
well, let's talk about that for a second too, because Rick Rosenthal was in some acting class at the time of either right before or during the shooting, and Leo Rossi was in it. Several of the people that were in this movie were in this acting class, and I don't know if he promised Leo Rossi or what, but Debra Hill didn't want him. And Leo Rossi kept going back to Rosenthal and saying, I'm never going to get this part. He goes, just be patient, and convinced her eventually to let him have the part. But he does play the type. I mean, he's the guy that usually plays the East Coast mobster type or thug kind of.
Or jerk.
Yeah.
He's really good.
He's a good jerk.
Yeah. And notice Michael's hands never got scalded. His hand was going under the water.
No, because he's supernatural. I noticed.
So the bottom shot
he does have
is
gloves on.
The state trooper who pays
Best
no attention
actor in the
to
movie.
Loomis, who tells him, "Get away from him." You know?
This looks like a video still from a YouTube video of how to do a tonsillectomy at home. You're not supposed to go in through there, Sam.
Anyway, but it's one of those ones where you're watching it and then you're thinking, "Hey, don't stand so close to him." And then Loomis chews him out, and he backs up a little bit, and then Loomis gets distracted, and you see the guy in the background.
Right back to it.
You idiot! And, it happens.
Yeah.
What else we got going here? So you've got the nurse kill here, which is Tawny Moyer, I believe. I clicked on the wrong thing there. Sorry. There we go.
There she is.
She's on the phone. We got a jack-o'-lantern, and then that is a surprise.
That is a surprise. She looks more like she, like he made an inappropriate move, but
yeah.
So what? Everyone makes a joke like she's getting.
And that's the
Goose,
one you were talking
they
about
used to
earlier,
say
where
back in the day.
he stabs her with basically a scalper and then lifts her up off her feet. A scalpel and lifts her up off her feet
until her shoes fall off.
Yeah, and so they
Yeah, he's like shaking her until her shoes fall off.
I couldn't keep track of the victim, so I put this together just so that we give everybody a little bit of credit. So the person on the top, that was an added scene. Top left, the brunette, she was added to add another kill where they go into Michael walks into the old couple's house and gets the knife off the cutting board and then kills her. I think her name is Ann Brunner. Playing Alice Martin. And then I think the next person that gets it is the security guard. And his name is, the character he plays is named Garrett. His name is Cliff Emmich. And then the doctor whose introduction is, yeah, he just came from the country club. He's pretty drunk.
Yes.
So let me give you this shot. And that guy's name is Ford Rainey, and he's one of those guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You should recognize that person.
I thought
if
you
you
were
saw
going to say
anything.
Ford Ranger.
Say that?
I thought you were going to say Ford Ranger.
Oh, Ford Rainey, I think. Yeah, Ford Rainey. 185 credits. Going all the way back to 1949. So tons of stuff, and I'm sure he's in some genre things. I didn't scroll through and look, but he's the kind of guy that, at least towards the end of his career, I think he played a lot of doctors and grandpas and stuff like that.
Right.
Halloween 2. So anyway, next one is Gloria Gifford, who was the head nurse. She gets the drain tube.
Oh, yeah.
And then Leo Rossi and Pamela Susan Shoop, who are the whirlpool death. And then the bottom left one that's what Crystal was talking about when he's holding up Tawny Moyer up in the air on the scalpel. Her shoes fall off. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but on the top of that little frame, her feet are hanging down and her shoes are on the floor. And the last one there is Anna Alicia, who is like a candy striper, a nurse's aide or something. And she gets it too. So there's 8 plus the trooper. That's 9 in this one and 4 in the other one. So in the first. And we have a couple of first appearances or very early appearances here too. Guy on the top, boombox boy, is Lance Warlock.
Dick Warlock's kid.
Yeah, one of them. And then the next one down on the right is Billy Warlock, who starred in a movie we did, Society.
Yeah.
Oh, Society. Okay.
And he's the kid that runs up and is trying to find out where. I think he asked the cops or somebody where Ben Tramer is. Have you seen Ben Tramer? We're trying to find Ben Tramer, who was the guy that got killed in the car accident. Who was also the one that Laurie Strode had the crush on that they tried to line her up with in the first movie.
Oh, gee. Well, that didn't work out.
And then the bottom picture, I'm sorry, the one on the left in the middle is Anna Marie Martin, who just was called in at the last minute to be the person that needed a ride from Pamela Susan Shoop, the one that gets it in the whirlpool. We see her having to give a friend a ride somewhere. And the reason I put her in is she had co-starred in Prom Night, like the year before, before this. And then the bottom picture, we see Dana Carvey in his first movie role.
Wow.
And I don't remember if he has any lines or not. What I remember him doing is nod. That's his boss. She's the news producer, and he's somebody that she's telling what they should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he does have a couple lines, but I wouldn't have recognized him if I hadn't seen it ahead of time.
No, I didn't know that till you mentioned this.
So anyway, what else do we need to talk about here? That
I mean, legacy wise, it is the stuff that they introduced into this movie did get, as Crystal mentioned, pretty much carried out into all the subsequent Michael Myers movies.
Mm-hmm.
She's his sister, and he's invulnerable. But they brought back Loomis because they knew that was.
It is interesting though that after this they did Halloween 3, which was almost like they were trying to do some sort of palate cleanse or something. And then they're like, what is the fourth one? It's like the return of Michael Myers or something?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I get why they called it that, because they wanted to make sure everyone knew that, okay, guys, okay, we heard you. We're bringing Michael back. So, but I like this one, though. I don't know.
One thing we didn't talk about is the little kid in the razor blade scene.
Oh, yeah.
Which...
that was the big urban legend at the time.
Right.
It
was actually, I laughed. I probably shouldn't laugh about kid with blood pouring out of his mouth and a razor blade stuck in it.
And the apples got razor blades jammed
and
into it.
somebody
he couldn't see him before he bit into it.
I can't remember who said it, but I read somewhere that it was that was sort of the idea that would lead into these anthology ones. So that they were going to have something like that in the next.
I remember there being such a big, huge backlash against Halloween 3 that I do not understand. I was all about making it an anthology. I think I felt like all the Michael Myers stories had been told in 1 and 2. And that's where it should have stayed. And I was all for, let's tell different stories set around the time of Halloween. That was just something.
It's weird that people generally weren't too crazy about Halloween 2, but the second they try to make one without him, they freaked out. Like, oh my God, we love Michael Myers. Like, okay, you like him, but you don't love him. Yeah, I remember the whole razor blades and the apple thing. What a huge scam that was. And they would hospitals would X-ray candy to make sure nobody put any razor blades. Yeah. And then they were talking about how drug people would give kids drugs instead of candy. And listen, I've known some drug people. They do not give their drugs away to some random
they're not giving up
their
drugs.
No, never happened.
Yeah, that was a big deal. That
was huge. I think it was just an urban legend, though.
It would be obvious to tell, though, if you just looked at your frickin' apple.
Yeah.
I mean...
First of all, did anyone ever eat the apples that people would give you? No, you took the apple and you threw it at their window to show them that next year, by God, they better have Snickers. Apples.
True. Very true.
There was always that one family that gave out toothbrushes. Yeah, their house got egged a lot.
Wow. I don't think I ever got it.
Up to your armpits and toilet paper.
I like the families that give out money.
Oh, wow. Those were legends. Yeah.
Full-size Snicker bars, yeah.
Yep.
Money. Nudie magazines. There was an old guy on our block that used to give out nudie magazines. Yeah.
Okay, I've never heard that. I've never seen that. That's hilarious.
All the kids were crammed around his door waiting their turn.
I'll bet. The dads too.
Oh no.
What did the parents do?
Heck if I know. I was just out there trying to get
parents.
candy.
The parents never found out about it. Where'd you get this?
Yep. That's hilarious. How many magazines would you have to have for that? That's why I'm I was like, is it just a photo or a whole magazine? Because holy moly.
Did you trade them like you would candy at the end of the day?
We were like, which one did you get?
I'll give you one Playboy for 2 stout and sassies. Yeah, it's like.
I don't think he was giving them to girls. I think he was giving them to the older boys, but I was too scared to go up there and get one. But If I was to bring something like that home, I would have been way up shit creek without a doubt. So
kind of a weird little connection is so Lance Guest, who was in Halloween
The
2,
Last Starfighter. Oh.
and Dan O'Hurley, who was in Halloween 3, and Nick Castle, who was the Shape in the first Halloween. He directed The Last Starfighter.
Oh, yay. That's cool.
Lance Guest and Dan O'Hurley were
I got to see that again sometime. I haven't seen
One
it in
of
a long
my
time.
favorite
I haven't
movies
seen that for a long time.
Forever. I love.
So they did offer
Last
this
Starfighter.
to Tommy Lee Wallace to begin with, and I don't know if that. So what about that, Chad? What did you hear?
I think he wanted it to be more like the first one. And when he got the script and he saw the script, he saw there was a little more violence in it, a little more gore. And I think he went to John Carpenter, and John Carpenter said it's what the studios want. We can't change it. We can't change. So he dropped out of doing it. But he did go on to Halloween 3.
Yep.
So,
yeah, Halloween 3 is less violent. Well, it's just violent in a different way.
It's different. Yeah, it is different.
And it's got to take some
I don't know, that lady
artistic principle.
face blew up.
That's what I'm saying. It's just different, but there's not as many kills, I don't think. Not even close.
But it's got to take some artistic, I don't know, backbone or something. Or I'm not saying this right, but yeah, Tommy Lee Wallace, who's being brought along by John Carpenter, and then he has to go to Carpenter and say, I don't like your script.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this one. Although, from what you said, Chad, it was probably more of a.
I think he liked the script. I just think he didn't like how much more violence and gore was in it. Yeah.
Well, this was, they generally did novelizations of these, and the novelization of this one was written by Jack Martin, or credited to Jack Martin, which was a pseudonym for Dennis Etchison, which was one of my favorite horror short story writers in the 80s and the 90s. But he did a lot of those, Jack Martin. He did novelizations under the name Jack Martin. All right. Maybe nothing else, but I think this is, it's just different. I love the original Halloween for the atmosphere. Everything about the way they did it is brilliant. This one, I would never call this brilliant, but it carries on the tradition, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, it did.
And it's weird. So I watched the first one, and then I watched this one right after it. And when I did that, the music in the second one put me off because it's more amplified and more
louder for sure.
There's more parts to it, and even Howarth, Carpenter's music writing partner, said that's what he did. He took the original script and added all this other stuff into it to make it more forceful. But then when I watched it separately without having watched the first one right in front of it, I didn't have a problem with it at all. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It just, in comparison, it felt strange. All right. I guess
that's it.
That's all we got. We do have some feedback, though.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Yes, we do.
I can't believe we did, because it's been... So I know you guys out there don't realize how quickly we're recording these to each other, but we just recorded Monday, and this is Wednesday, so it's been 2 days.
Right. Yeah. Leviathan's been out for less than 24 hours, and we got a bunch of comments on Leviathan.
Yay.
Yep.
Awesome. This won't go out for 10 days or so.
Okay.
So, who wants to? Well, right off the bat, this is pretty much a Jerry Chandler thing here.
Okay.
Remember, we kind of gave him a hard time for saying Chad
Yeah.
I didn't. I defended him.
Did you want to?
Oh, good for you.
Read this, Chad? Or?
Sure, yeah, I'll read it. Jerry Chandler writes, Deep Rising. Damn it. Yeah, brain fart. He meant Deep Star 6. Deep Star 6 is probably an inferior movie compared to Leviathan, but it always seemed like it was more of a dumb, fun movie. Leviathan is technically a much better film, but my problem with Leviathan is what you all touched on in your discussion. All the ingredients are in it for a ripping great movie, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to ever gel. It's a movie I watch and I think I should like way more than I end up doing. Deep Star 6, on the other hand, I can really enjoy the good parts of that one, and I have fun with the bits of that film that seem to misfire. Although having now gotten Deep Rising and its nudge nudge wink wink connection to King Kong in my head, I kind of wish that one would get an episode with you lot, but DOH the 1990s and beyond appears to be in the shop for repairs for the foreseeable future.
Yes, we need to do the 90s, and yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just do Loch Ness Horror instead. Now, see, you had a good letter there, Jerry, and you
just takes it too far.
That one. Yeah.
And then he had a separate comment that came first.
Oh, let's see. What else has Daniel Stern been in that's genre? Chud would like a word with you all. Only the greatest movie ever made about chemical hazard urban disposal. I think that's true.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Unless you count.
What about Swamp Thing? Like
count Return of the Living Dead, maybe.
But anyway, the acronym. And then Crystal, how about this? You can do the next one. Renee St. Aubin.
There's a Loch Ness monster. No. There's a Loch Ness horror movie. Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, I didn't know it either. And seriously, who forgets Chud? Apparently,
you're not going to thank him. You're not going to thank him after you watch the Loch Ness horror.
Right. Jerry,
is it bad? I haven't seen it either, Renee. So
I'm surprised Jerry just puts this out into the air like nobody won't hunt him down and kill him over it.
He brings this up probably 3 or 4 times a year, I think. Loch Ness horror, whatever.
What is it?
It's a Larry Buchanan movie, which is everything you need to know. It's it's really.
Is it so bad? It's good though. I mean,
yes, in a way.
Yeah. Okay.
In small chunks. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so bad, it's bad.
Look up some clips of it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's all you need to do.
All right.
Well, thanks, Renee. It's good to hear from you. I haven't heard from you for a while.
Yeah, Renee.
Thanks.
Apparently, it takes Jerry Chandler to energize. And thanks, Jerry. As always.
Yep.
I guess that's it for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up is one chosen by Bill
Liberace Mulligan.
Yeah, that's right. Ooh, we've got a good one, folks.
Liberace Mulligan.
Yeah.
It's a movie that's got everything in it. Everything, including the kitchen sink. It is Life Force.
Yes.
You don't want to miss it. Toby Hooper. Gratuitous nudity, space vampires, a bunch of good actors who seem to be thinking that they're in a completely different movie from each other.
Psychoactive substances.
Yep.
John Dykstra special effects, just insane.
Seem to think they're in different movies. I believe that's true.
Yeah.
I think I read that somewhere. So once again, I'm fired up for that one.
It's going to be
once again. There's plenty of ways to stay in touch, so be sure to leave comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel, or you can send emails to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com. Check us out on the Gruesome Magazine HNR and DOH Podcast Facebook group. That's way too long a name. Or even on the website, gruesomemagazine.com. So love to have you there, and leave reviews wherever. We appreciate it. Share us. Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie, as only decades of horror can do it.
Word.
Say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, folks.